What's going on, Lorehounds? Antilles here, hanging out inside the Behaviour Games booth. I'm here with Matt Cote, the game director for Dead by Daylight. It's a really interesting game. It's kill or be killed. You're playing as a team of survivors or a killer, and you go in and you chase people around, and basically you murder them. And either they escape or they don't. Did I miss anything?
No, that's pretty much it. Maybe you skipped over the therapeutic aspect of it, but yeah.
Take out some of that inner rage and let loose a little bit. Yeah. So, by all accounts, this is a really fun game. It was fun before you guys started adding some of our favorite killers from pop culture, but now you're looking at, you can play as Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger,
Face, and the pig from Saw.
It's amazing. And something that's really interesting in this iteration of the game that you guys have done is you've taken those characters and given them metrics so that they react to the world around them in a way that that character would. So I just watched Freddy Krueger pull people to sleep, slice them, and then hang them up on hooks like this one right here in an attempt to kill them. So what are some of the other metrics for some of the other killers like Leatherface or Michael Myers that you guys have incorporated?
Well, so every single killer that we add into the game comes with their own power set, and it's very, very unique, and we're trying to make sure that people have to adapt their strategies to the killer that they're facing every time. So it's very, very different. Michael Myers is a good example because if he finds you, he will not outright just chase you and kill you. He's going to stalk you, and he's going to watch you and grow his power until he's the most dangerous thing we have in the game, more or less. Freddy Krueger pulls people into sleep, as you were saying, so that he can attack them, because until then, they can't see him. He's invisible. And then you have Leatherface with the chainsaw, who just can wipe down a whole group of people just by swinging it around like this. And you were talking about the Saw from the pig from Saw, who puts reverse bear traps on people's heads and forces essentially survivors to screw up other survivors. So essentially, they start hating on each other because they triggered the timer on the traps before they were ready to take it off. It's very, very fun to be able to create new mechanics that will bring in those characters in a way that honors them, that respects what they stand for.
That's awesome. What were some of the challenges for your team going forward with some of those characters and building those out? I can't imagine that, giving Freddy Krueger and Michael Myers unique character metrics in a game like this was an easy task.
No, not at all. But to be fair, even the original characters that we created, the Huntress, the Doctor, the Hag, they all come with really crazy out there powers that sort of break the metrics of the game. The Huntress, for instance, that came out a few months ago, she's got a ranged weapon. So she was the first killer that came in, and she can throw a hatchet at the other end of the level. And people have shown like trick shots videos on YouTube, obviously. But that sort of screwed up everything. Like survivors were used to, dropping a pallet in front of the killer and feeling safe, and then you get a hatchet to the face. So for us, it's really fun to be able to go around and break people's expectations, and we've been doing that with the licensed killer, but with our own characters also. And it's a challenge every time. And the more we add, the more that balance becomes a juggling act.
That's interesting. Moving on with some of the matchmaking and the online play that you do,
Yep.
How have you guys seen to it that, if me and my friends want to all go in and play as a team of 4 survivors, right?
Yeah.
How does that match up with the killer to survivor ratio online? I know you've put it out for PS4, PS3, and PC.
PS4, Xbox One, and PC. So, that was a worry at the beginning of the game. We're like, we need to have at least 2 to 3 survivors to every killer, because the survivors, once they're done, once they're dead, or once they escape, they can join another game. They're not bound to that group. So it's almost a single player experience. We call it like anti-social multiplayer, essentially. So it didn't need to be 4 to 1 exact ratio, because the survivors can play more games while a killer is finishing his. But you're absolutely correct. It was a concern, but we have big enough populations right now that it sort of self-regulates. The matchmaking, though, has been a very, a big concern of us, and we're constantly looking at it and tweaking it and trying to improve on it.
That's great. I know that the reviews that I've seen from like the Steam community have been really good. What was the reception? I know you just launched on PS4 in Japan. What's that been like? How's that process been?
It was 2 days ago, so really it's hard to have a good evaluation of it, but there was already a lot of big fans in Japan before we released the game. Obviously, you know, they have friends everywhere, and the world is a small community nowadays. So we already had players in Japan, but they had to tweak their consoles, I guess, to be on the US system. So now we just released in Japan. We're very eager to get some feedback from these people. We have community managers over there. We make sure that we have people present. We reached out to a lot of people around the world. One example is we have Nikki here. She was a mod for us for a long time, and we hired her as a community manager and as a customer support. She's in the UK. We have people in Russia. We have people in China. We're really trying to get as close as we can to our community.
Awesome. So it sounds like there's a lot of good things coming in. The game Dead by Daylight is constantly expanding, because when they release one of these new characters, when they release a new killer, you're going to get a map and you're going to get a new survivor that corresponds to the killer as well. And
I'm sorry, it's just the recipe we had for chapters used to be a killer, a survivor, and a map, but now we're changing that a little bit. So the next one that's coming out is killer, map, survivor, and a bunch of outfits themed to that new release that are for existing characters. So we're adding just a little more to every chapter that we're doing from now, from the next one on. We just shown our time frame for the next year also. So we've made big commitments, because for us, this is our second year anniversary, but it's just the beginning. The team has grown immensely since the beginning, and this is a project that we're not letting go ever. Well, until people get tired of it, but that's not going to happen anytime soon.
Great, well, that's good to hear. So check out Dead by Daylight. It's always evolving, always expanding, and it's really fun to play. What's happening, Lorehound? Still inside the Behaviour Games booth. I'm here with Ash, the creative director for Deathgarden. So this kind of looks like a sort of dystopian future runner-hunter game. Similar in that aspect to Dead by Daylight, where the hunter is first person, and you've got the people you're trying to chase down and essentially kill. But this one has a little bit of a twist on it, where the runners move really quickly, they have their own ability, they have ranged weapons, they can torment the hunter. What are some of the metrics that you put into this game that you think are really going to pull players to come back and keep playing this game?
Absolutely. So really it's an asymmetrical game, which means that you have the two different perspectives, and these always create really interesting moments in the game. We can never predict how all the elements go together when you have effectively the FPS gameplay of the hunter against the third-person gameplay of the runners and all their agility and all the powers on both sides. It means there's always unique moments that happen in the game. So the more you play the game, the more you realize it's not a game about mastering the map, it's more of a game about adjusting to the skill of the moment. And that's a very repetitive gameplay feeling that you get out of the game. So the more you play, the more you understand that it's your skill at adjusting to the situations as they present themselves in the game. So that's really one of the things that's really important in Deathgarden. What also is important is also the teamwork aspect of the runners. And that's something that's really important. Learning to work together with other people in different ways to complete objectives in this ever-changing landscape makes it a very repeat play experience.
Yeah, we just played the demo, and I have to say that being able to sort of split the hunter's time between two key points, right? You're trying to capture objectives to open a door and escape. I was able to sort of get the hunter to chase me a little bit while somebody else was able to split off and go away. And it really did focus on that sort of team aspect, and the ability to run up the walls and climb and interact with the environment really lends a little bit of a suspense sort of to the gameplay. Something else that interests me in this game is the look and the feel of it. All the runners have these masks on, everything's a little, the tones of the game are a little bit darker. And you mentioned to me before that this is sort of a dystopian future, and that there is some pretty heavy lore behind this game, but it is an alpha, so you can't say too much about it. But what can you tell the lorehounds out there? What is kind of the backstory to where this game comes in?
For sure. I mean, even by playing this demo, you'll realize that this forest is actually encapsulated inside an arena. When you go and look closely at the walls of this arena, you'll see at the top there are giant statues of runners and hunters. I mean, this is a future sport. It's set in the near future. I'll say near future. But we're still at a time where this is actually a competition between two entities. This this place is not the hunter's realm. There's definitely this element that there's something else going on over the top. It is a sport. There is this concept that the people there are there willingly. They're not necessarily there because they're being forced to be, and there will be much more revealed on the subject as we go forward. But even if you go in this demo and look maybe down over the edge of the map, you'll see things that are beginning. When you look at the ready room, if you look out the window when the level builds, there's elements and things that we're giving away in this that may allude to a deeper backstory to this game, to a society where things have evolved to this point in humanity. There's some, some common sci-fi concepts, some different ones. As we mentioned before, it feels like some things, it feels not like others. It's got some, tie-ins potentially with other games that we may know about. So, anyway, there's all kinds of things in the future to talk about.
All right. Well, and I'm gonna have to sit down and take another look out the window when the level builds there. So, Lorehounds, check it out. Deathgarden from Behaviour Games from PAX 2018. Antilles, thanks for stopping by.